Now that I have my color pages done, the primary, warm, and cool colors, it's time for me to cut out my shapes and glue them into my learning log. This is just a practice of cutting skills. One of the first things you might want to do is cut your shapes apart. If your papers are smaller, they're easier to turn when you are cutting. So I'm going to cut each shape apart so it's all by itself. And then I'm going to pick one of these shapes and be more careful and cut along the dotted lines. Remember, when you're cutting, we want to keep the shape, so it's okay to make more than one piece with the leftovers. You want to make sure that you are turning your paper, and I like to overcut. Do you see how I cut past my line? That makes it a little bit easier for me to turn my corner and cut right on that corner. So this is the piece I'm going to save. Here, the rectangle, or the square, here, the square is pretty easy too. If you cut past, you can cut those pieces off, and those can get into the recycle bin when you have all your pieces cut out. Here's a rectangle, which is very similar to the square. I'm going to do that one next. Again, I'm just cutting past and cutting off the extra on the outside. Turning my paper. Notice how my scissors are always sort of cutting in the same general area. And my thumb is up. And my helper hand is holding. Now my helper hand needs to be really busy. With a circle, to get a nice smooth line, I have to turn the paper with my helper hand as I'm closing the scissors in my cutting hand. So I'm going to start by cutting, getting to that line. As I slowly turn, I'm holding just between my thumb and my finger, and I turn the paper as I'm cutting. This is a tricky skill when you're cutting, but it's something that we want to practice. And then our oval does the same thing, only this you don't have to turn quite as much. This one's a slower turner because the corner isn't so tight. There we go. And now that I have all of these shapes cut out, I'm going to turn to my next empty page, and I'm going to glue them down however I would like.